Hey y'all, if you're out there, let me know. Once I see some comments, I will start talking. Just waiting. Welcome back to Unbossed Unfiltered Live. I'm doing this every day, Monday through Friday, at 5 p.m. So that's my time, 5 p.m. Eastern. Unless something crazy happens, that's my plan. Okay, you guys are here. Hey, so let me see. Harriet, Tony, B Dizzle, Shayna, Hope, Andres, Boo, but B, Chandra. Thank you. These are my Dazzle bands. I don't know if you guys caught my shout out to Black women entrepreneurs, small business owners, but these are Dazzle bands. These are the only kind of earrings I wear. I like big earrings. I like big and I like color. Hey, Robin. Hey, Lou. Malarkey Free Zone. All right, y'all. So listen, I said it's a completely open forum today because I don't exactly have a topic to talk about today. Hey, Nicole. I mean, obviously, I'm probably going to touch on the Justice and Policing Act hearing in the House Judiciary Committee today. It was a really, really excellent hearing. I watched all of the opening statements and I caught different parts of it on and off today. But I want to hear from you guys. What's on your mind tonight, this evening? What do y'all want to talk about? Until I see some questions, I'll just talk about it a little bit. So, George Floyd's brother, and I'm hoping I say his name right, Philonise Floyd, Mr. Floyd, was testifying today at the hearing. There were other really, really excellent people that were testifying. The Republicans kind of brought the clown show per usual, except for this one woman. Her brother was killed. So, I think the Republicans wanted to frame it as a violence against police issue, whereas the topic right now is violence against Black people. It's about police violence. And I didn't really appreciate that because, we know that when there is violence against police officers, there's consequences for that. That's not in dispute. Nobody's disputing that there is violence against police officers. What we want accountability when there is violence against us by the police. We don't want the police to not be violent towards us, for one, but when they are violent, we want consequences. So tell me if you guys caught any part of the hearing. Let me know what stood out to you. Hey, Robin, Lou, Nicole, Tim, Kelly. Tim asks, what do you think about Val Demings as VP? I've said this many times. I think that Kamala Harris needs to be VP. That's what I think. If you ask me about anybody, my response is Kamala Harris needs to be VP. That's my response. Period. It seems GOP's narrative at the judiciary session was all violence matter, while Dems focused on police violence against the Black community. Exactly. I thought it was really interesting. Not interesting. It's really disappointing, actually, the response to the rollout of the Justice and Policing Act. And I saw Jordan Peele, for instance, he retweeted this mockery of the Kente thing, which was completely overblown in my opinion. And that got 400,000 likes on it and 100,000 retweets. And I'm like, why is it that bullshit is always what gets the retweets and the likes? Why can't we ever get the substance? And all these people that said, get up off, stop kneeling and go pass some laws. Okay, well, where was that energy for the hearing that occurred today? And I think that when you see the difference in how the Republicans approach the issue versus how the Democrats approach the issue, it's clear who's on our side and who's not on our side. So I think that people need to start focusing. If you really are serious about change, if you really are serious about this movement, then you need to start engaging in these substantive conversations. You need to start putting your voice behind that. I have so much respect for what Philonise Floyd did today, which is the day after his brother's funeral. He's in front of Congress. The hearing started at 10 a.m. It just ended at 5 p.m. So he spent 7 hours in Congress testifying about police reform the day after his brother's funeral. So if he can do that, then what we can do is call our congressperson and demand that they get behind this bill. What we can do is elevate the discourse beyond what's easy to get retweets and what's easy to get likes. And I'm going to get to your comments too, but another thing I want to comment on as well is I've seen people kind of, deride the bill as the Justice and Policing bill because, it has a provision to outlaw chokeholds. And people like to bring up, well, Eric Garner, that was illegal. Actually, it was a police practice that was banned by the department. That's not the same as a crime. And what I want to say is look at the families that have been victim to this police violence. What are they doing? So you see Philonise Floyd at the hearing today advocating for the Justice and Policing bill. That's a tangible step. So if you're going to take cues from anybody, don't take cues from the blue checks, from the activists who want to sit up there and yell you down and talk about how your opinion doesn't matter or this reform doesn't matter, because the people of the family whose blood has been spilled are actually out there advocating for these very things. The same with Eric Garner. His mother, Gwen Carr, was out advocating for the Eric Garner Anti-Chokehold Act in New York. So for all the people that want to say, well, it doesn't matter because, it didn't stop Eric Garner. Well, to Eric Garner's mother, it matters. So who am I going to listen to? I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to listen to Miss Gwen Carr. So that's what I want to say is look at, if you want to bring up a person's name, then let's look at what their family is trying to do. Let's do that. Look at Michael Brown's mother. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I'm not. She ran for office in Ferguson after that. Look at Sabrina Fulton. Even though her son Trayvon was not a victim of police violence, still the victim of the slave patrols, the deputized mentality. She's running for Miami-Dade County Commission. So Lucy McBath, again, her son, not a victim of police violence, but still a victim of these slave patrols, these self-deputized, this systemic racism, this racist views that people can kill black people without impunity. She's in the Congress now. So those are the people that I really want to, let's follow the leader on them. Let's take cues from them. And if you don't want to take cues from them, then don't invoke their kid's name. Don't invoke their family member's name. Go do your own thing. Because if you want to honor that person, then honor the people that are fighting in their name for these reforms, like the Justice and Policing Act or like the Eric Garner Anti-Chokehold Act, which actually makes it a crime punishable for up to 15 years in New York if you cause injury or death from a chokehold. That was not something that was there before. People like to say enforce the laws on the books. Well, guess what? The laws on the book allow people to get people off. They allow the cops to have any kind of culpability. Qualified immunity. Reasonable force. So we got to change the laws if we want to have a different impact. You can't say, well, it's just that the laws aren't being applied. No, the laws are the problem, which is what we're trying to change here. So anyway, let me go ahead and go to these comments. I'm a couple minutes behind now. Let me see. Hold on. Okay. I'm catching up. Breonna Taylor, justice for Breonna Taylor. Her killers are still not, she has no justice in that case. And that's absolutely disgraceful. Kamala Harris and Lucy McBath have called for an investigation into that. The DOJ is investigating that. From what I understand, the police department has reopened an investigation into that, but we still need justice for Breonna Taylor. Hey, Dr. Luke Strange. Brooke, K-Hive, Kamala Harris brought in $3.5 million into the Biden campaign. That's actually more than Hillary Clinton. And I think that's incredibly impressive. I don't think that the VP position is going to be based on, okay, let's put up the scoreboard, who raised the most money. But I think that it's a very, very, very solid indication that Kamala Harris is a person that can energize donors, that can energize the base, that can bring in money. And that's what you want. You want a person who can hold their own on all accounts. And she has the ability to raise money. That was always her thing. Now, when it came for her seeking the presidency, motherfuckers got brand new when it came to opening up their pocketbooks. But before she ran for president, she was one of the most successful fundraisers, because people like to see you black when you raise money for somebody else. But that's definitely a feather in her cap. So awesome job to everybody who contributed to that. My thing is, name Kamala Harris as VP, then I got all the help for you, Joe. Other than that, then I ain't got none for you. Any input on Tim Scott's years-long proposal to defund law enforcement for not reporting police brutality? That is news to me. I'd have to look into that. But reporting police brutality, that's part of what's in the Justice and Policing Act. So I'm not impressed with that. See, my thing is this. I don't have a problem with you taking issue with with a specific bill if you have an alternative solution that does something better. So whatever Tim Scott is proposing, that's also what's in the Justice and Policing Act. So he wants, if you want to have a bill, or you want to have a proposal that does 1/10 of what this other one does, then I'm gonna go with the other one and put my energy behind the other one. Let's see. Highland oriented. Hey, Churl, Jim. Do the right thing, Team Joe. Absolutely. How do you feel about people getting worked up over racist statutes being pulled, taken down? I mean, that's to be expected. We live in a white supremacist society, and I think that we have allowed that faction to write our history, and we've allowed them to kind of shirk any kind of culpability for the racism that they perpetuate through these statutes. And so it doesn't surprise me. I think it's more of a reaction to feeling threatened by the fact that people are standing up against white supremacy and people are trying to have some accountability there. But people are always going to be threatened by that. But I say good on everybody who's taking them statues down. I have one question. I love Kamala, but what if she turns down VP? Who's the next best choice? That's absolutely not going to happen. She's already said she'd be honored to serve. So if she's not VP, that means that Joe Biden did not have enough sense to pick him. I did watch the hearing. People need to go after Rand Paul, Sylvia, with the same energy. Exactly. Why are we not going after the Republicans? You know what's interesting? I don't know if you guys have ever looked under NAACP. If you look under their Twitter, if you look under like the National Urban League, if you look under Kamala Harris, if you look under Black people's Twitter, notice you'll find ADOS on there. They're always under the Black stuff. But I don't see them under Rand Paul's Twitter. I don't see them under Mitch McConnell. And I've actually checked. I've done a search for ADOS and Mitch McConnell, or Senate Majority Leader. He gets maybe one or two posts every couple of days. But when it comes to the Black people, they want to go and rag on the Black people and try to delegitimize the Black politicians. And that to me is a suppressive tactic, because they're trying to suppress Black people. They know that under Rand Paul or Mitch McConnell's Twitter statuses, they're not going to find their audience that they're trying to suppress. They're going to try to do that under the Black people. So that's why I have an issue when you're only going after the Black people. Then to me, what are your real intentions? Because if you have that intention to push for an agenda, then push for that agenda with everybody. Push forward for the Republicans, push forward for the white folks. Don't just push forward with the Black people. The hearing was interesting. That defund BS needs to stop. I'm not going to defend or speak against the defund the police. I think that, as a slogan, it obviously has issues, but I will say there's a petty part of me that's not very sympathetic to the problems they're having with messaging, because a lot of the people, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of people that are pushing that defund the police are the same people that push that Kamala is a cop shit. So you find now that Kamala was a cop shit was pretty effective temporarily. Obviously, her favorables are up. People are learning more about Kamala and not the character that was painted of her. So it only lasts for so long, but you live by the slogan, you die by the slogan. So at a certain point, that faction needs to figure out how to better communicate it outside of a slogan. Yes, people Like I said, you live by the slogan, you die by the slogan. You live by the meme, you die by the meme. Unless you can articulate something in a substantive way that makes sense, then you're not going to get broad support for it. I think Kamala Harris does an amazing job. She doesn't use the word defund the police, but she makes the most persuasive argument for what the defund the police, not the abolitionists of the police, are talking about. They should really take some cues from her. If they weren't always hating, they could take some cues from her. Let's see. I'm going to keep going. I've already been on here for 19 minutes. I feel like an episode of Insecure, child. You 19 minutes in Insecure, you're like, okay, well, what's gonna happen? I ain't seen shit happen yet. What's up? Let's see. Charles Jack says the leaders are the impacted families. Exactly. That's what I was saying. Amadou Diallo's mom. Yes. Yes. Miss Gwen Carter did lose her granddaughter. Yeah, that was just so tragic. And that's something with a lot of these police killings. You see a whole family wiped out. I'm trying to think about, I don't know if you guys watched The Outsider. The Outsider was a show on HBO. It's totally random. But The Outsider on HBO, it was about like this kind of like, mythical or, whatever, otherworldly creature that basically framed a person for the murder of a child, and due to that framing, the whole family basically got taken out, whether they committed suicide or something happened that just completely destroyed and ripped apart that family. And that creature, and y'all seen it, y'all put it in the comments. Whatever that creature is, that's what police brutality is to Black families. It's taken out an entire family through the actions of taking out one person. Look at the family of Tatiana Jefferson. It's so incredibly tragic what has happened to her family as a result of the police violence. And to the people that ACLU, for instance, didn't want to sign on to the Justice and Policing Act, which is why I don't donate to them. I donate to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, because they're buying into this whole defunding the police in terms of, and one thing I do have a problem with defunding the police is a blanket defund everything. Do I want to see defunding police body cams? No, and I'm going to tell you why. Because body cams are the reason why Tatiana Jefferson's killer has been indicted. Cops lie all the time about what's on, what happens. There are reports and studies about that. So why would I sit up there and make it easier for them to lie? When you have Breonna Taylor's case, those cops had their body cameras off. So no, we need to be enforcing body cameras rather than taking them away. That's my opinion. And if anybody can show me where defunding body cameras specifically leads to more just outcomes, then I'd be interested to see that. But I highly doubt there's any evidence to support that. So anyway, if Kamala gets VP position, she'll no doubt be the president in 2028. That's very highly likely, if not 2024. Let's see. What the heck is a holdup with Breonna's case? I mean, let's be honest, the default position in this country is that cops can kill people without impunity, and that's what we're trying to stop. At least what if there are people who say, well, cops are going to kill people regardless. Okay, that's fine. Just like some people are going to speed regardless. There's a lot of things people are going to do whether it's against the law or not. But the point is we want to have accountability for that. In Breonna Taylor's case, what the Justice and Policing Act does is it bans no-knock warrants in drug cases. So if you have a no-knock warrant, if you don't have the no-knock warrant, then you don't have the fucking police coming into her into her room into her house at 1:00 in the morning with the guns of Navarone. So these are the kinds of things. So Kate says, I feel like there's been no progress since Emmett Till's strategy. I wouldn't say there's been no progress, but we're still fighting the same battles. So that's why it doesn't feel like there's progress. We're still fighting the same battles. But progress is not a straight line. It's a zigzag. And that's the real struggle. But we are in a sense of stalemate. Let's see. Yes, Harriet, I'm ready to ride. If Kamala's announced as VP, I'm taking heads up immediately. Okay. Dub C says, what are your thoughts on the wording of disband the police? Listen, people can propose whatever they want to propose, but I think that it's all good to have a slogan. It's all good to have aspirations, but what are you doing to get that support legislatively? What are you doing? Are you going to your county hearings, your county commission hearings? Are you going to your local officials? Are you going to your state officials? Because at a certain point, when you just using slogans and shit on Twitter, what's that gonna do? So I'm not gonna get caught up in whatever the latest flavor is and what everybody wants to talk about in terms of using slogans or that. I support, like today I retweeted, I amplified this push in Colorado. State Representative Leslie Herod is actually pushing this, to get this bill that's going to deal with the qualified immunity, and it's called the Law Enforcement Integrity Act, I believe is the name of it. So where I see that there's local work happening, let's amplify that. Let's get behind those people, because those are the folks, the local officials that are saying, here's the hearing, call into this hearing, call this person, write in. And so that's what I want to focus on, because anybody can say anything online. And you know what's funny to me is the people, all these people that expected Kamala Harris to come in there and overhaul hundreds of years of systemic oppression and racism, institutionalized racism in the system by herself, by the way, because she was the first as DA and as Attorney General in those roles. They expect her to do all that in 14, 15 years ago, but you see them on Twitter and they release an initiative and they are withdrawing from the initiatives. They changing their story on what the hell they proposing like that. So they don't even have the, I don't want to say conviction or willpower, but what I'm saying is, let me just say it like this. It's a lot easier to put it in paper. It's a lot easier to say, yes, I'm standing for this, than it is to actually get it done. And I don't even see people who can go a whole full ass week with driving an initiative through. But then y'all want to sit up there and criticize Kamala because she didn't overhaul a whole entrenched system in 8 years. Make that make sense to me. All right. Shout out to Kamala endorsed Virginia congressional candidate Dr. Cameron Webb. Yes, absolutely. One of Kamala's state co-chairs, Melissa Watson, she won her primary yesterday. So shout out to her. There's so many people that we're seeing come out here. Tiffany Cross, I shouted her out earlier. She said it best. The South is red until it ain't. And so, sometimes it might feel like, well, why bother, why bother donating to these people? The race is rated solidly Republican and things like that. Well, because if you give them the resources and if you volunteer and if you work at it, then you might be able to flip that seat. But we have to start building that pipeline. We have to start putting people in positions to where they can be elected. Shout out to Tina Gray Russell in West Virginia. She's advancing to the general election. That's a state seat, not a Congress seat. But shout out to all those folks. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. A threat to their privilege. NASCAR just banned Confederate flags at the races. The races are shook. That's news to me, Brooke. Let's see. So Charles asked me if any ideas on preparing for voter suppression on election day. Georgia's the canary in the gold mine. So my suggestion, go look at my live from yesterday. I spent about 45 minutes talking about different tactics that we can use to try to prepare ourselves. There are issues at the macro level in terms of, elected officials and things like that. But I had some very practical, and other people suggested very practical things that we could do to try to combat voter suppression on our individual levels. And Vote.org, which is a Black woman-led organization that has supported people like Hillary Clinton and things like that, people like that, joined the chat as well. And so I shouted out some of the things that they commented on. So check out my live from yesterday. You can go on my YouTube channel under live streams. That's a playlist. You can check out the different topics that I'm talking on each of those days. Let's see. All right, let me see. I'm going to try to wrap this up in the next, I'm going to at least get through all the questions. And if I get through all those, then probably in 10 minutes, I'll wrap it up. Let's see. Put Harriet Tubman on $20 bill. Why is this not happening? Because Donald Trump is racist and Steve Mnuchin. Let's see. Okay. All right. Tony says, looks like the 8 can't wait data analysis was weak. Saw 72% reduction. Seemed like the stretch it was. Maybe so. What is the real number? Is the real number? I mean, it seems like what was being requested was still reasonable, still something that could be implemented. So I think maybe it's not 72%, but is it 50%? Is it 40%? Is it 25%? Why not ask for something tangible and something specific? I like how Kamala checked Meghan McCain a couple days ago. Meghan was not on her level at all. You know, Kamala definitely brought the heat on that. And I think that won her some fans, particularly with the defund the police, some of the burner people who like to drag her for no reason. Hey, Desiree. Okay, Harry, if you read the book. So what was the name of that demon in the book? Was it Kulo, or it was something like that? El Cuco, I don't know. Maybe it was Cuco. Anyway, Brittany Packnett resigned from Campaign Zero due to can't wait data errors. You know, that's fine. If she El Cuco, okay, that's what y'all said. Yeah, that's fine. You know, she certainly is entitled to resign. But and my point isn't that people shouldn't resign or anything like that. My point is that it's not as easy as people make it out to look. That's my point. Because you have these coalitions that come together on Twitter and on social media. I'm not trying to deride that one specifically. I'm just saying in general, and they don't even last a week, a month. You know how many of these activists came and turned around and put each other on blast on Twitter or on other social media? Oh, they raised money, Sean King, and they didn't do anything with it. Or, you know, oh, my voice was ignored. Well, imagine you talking about how your voice wasn't heard in an organization of all black people. Imagine what it's like to be a black woman in a department of mostly white men. Imagine how hard it is for your voice to be heard in that situation. But Kamala is supposed to just solve it all. Imagine going abracadabra, and y'all couldn't even get along, 6 of y'all in an organization that's all black. When Kamala surpasses Warren in favorability, Liz's VP hopes are dead. I don't think that the favorability. I say this: you live by the polls, you die by the polls. I think that what we're seeing Kamala's favorability go up because her name recognition is increasing. The difference in the favorabilities between her and Liz was never as a result of the unfavorables. It was always a result of the name recognition. Elizabeth Warren had a $140 million campaign. She had tons of media coverage. She had years in the national spotlight. And so I would expect a person like that to have higher favorabilities. Kamala, even though she ran a campaign for almost a year, she was blacked out of the media. And she didn't have the money to make the splash as she is. But she's obviously showing her leadership and how critical she is in these times through COVID and through this police reform movement. I won't say Black Lives Matter because then I don't want to hear people talk about, oh, you know, she's a cop. I don't want to hear none of that shit. So I'm just going to say the police reform movement. How about that? But I thought it was interesting, speaking of polling, that black people said overwhelmingly that they think that a person with law enforcement background should be on the ticket. For all the people who sat up there and said, Biden would be crazy to put somebody on the ticket who has law enforcement background. Oh, really? Because black people don't tend to agree with you. All right, let's see. C. Merritt says they lie all the time when you have body cam footage saying otherwise. Exactly, which is why to me we need goddamn body cameras. Can you speak on the young woman Bree? I think both should be honored because she wasn't mentioned. I don't know what you are referring to. Are you talking about Breonna Taylor? Because I certainly did mention her earlier. And I know that she's been mentioned many, many times throughout all of these, things. Okay, Game Face Sports says, as a black man, I'll be wearing my own body cam in public. Okay. Hello. Deb C, they need to get rid of qualified immunity. Yes, absolutely, which is what's in the Justice and Policing Act. Minnow Pod says, hi from Amsterdam. Hey, I love Amsterdam. I absolutely love Amsterdam. Kimberly, we need body cameras. Jess Mercy explains a lot about the system. That's from Joyce. I haven't seen it. Representative Clyburn warned about bad sloganeering, remembering how Burn Baby Burn got legs. Yeah. I think unfortunately we live in a society that's all about the soundbite, all about the meme, all about the slogan. And so if once people get to, and Roland said this yesterday, once other people define that slogan for you, then you got an uphill battle. So I think that the emphasis on something catchy and quick and rolling that out without a real campaign behind it, I think we're starting to see how that's probably a little bit ill-advised. Um, hey, Selena, Mark from Philly. Courtney, I don't know if I shouted you out yet. Kamala Harris is leading the way on every single issue, trying to protect Black lives in America. I completely agree. I don't know if you guys saw her on Nick Cannon today. She was really excellent on that. I think that what Kamala does, I think Kamala does a really superb job of first of all, listening to people and understanding how to empathize and respond to their specific concern and kind of bridge that gap. You know what I'm saying? Without necessarily falling into the trap of yes or no, I'm going to adopt your slogans, and really getting to the substance of it. And that's something that kind of didn't serve Kamala that well in her campaign of being substantive, because she didn't give you the 20-second soundbite like other people are used to. She gave you the 2-3 minute explanation. But I hope that now people have a little bit more of an appetite to sit through a 2-3 minute explanation and actually hear what somebody has to say. And I think obviously they do, because like I said, her favorabilities are going up and her profile is getting higher. Game Face Sports says people expect Black women to do it all with a smile. Yes. Warren and her PDF policies, no comment. PDF's jail. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna scroll past some of these things. Can you say what happened? Okay, so Susie Lee won in Vegas. I'm not familiar with her, but congratulations to her. Courtney says, I tell everyone the South is on the move, born and raised in SC. Yes, I went to SC for Kamala's Black Woman Weekend of Action, and I thought it was really awesome. When are you gonna run for office? Absolutely never. Do y'all see how much I cuss? Child. I would have to start cussing in my announcement, like, fuck y'all, vote for me anyway. That's how I'd have to come at it, because otherwise I don't know how I would even last. They would be asking me to, do you repudiate this? Do you denounce this? I'd be like, hell no, I said what I said. But I'm not interested in running for office, though. Tony says state legislator seats can be flipped in the reddest of states just with turnout in off years. Yeah, and actually a lot of times these red seats aren't even contested. So I'm glad to see that more of these seats are getting contested. That's how Democrats made gains, by running, more people in that election cycle. Taynard Jackson just came for Roland Martin, Joy Reid, and Don Lemon, and said they're doing more to, I'm assuming you're going to continue somewhere. So I'll catch up with that. Okay, C. Mary says, I agree. It's essentially impossible to overhaul police because politicians come and go, but cops stay for decades. That's why I support abolish, only in terms of completely remaking the police. But see, that's what people do. They say, okay, I support defund, but defund doesn't mean what it sounds like it means. It actually means reallocating. And people say, I support abolishing, but abolishing doesn't mean totally getting rid of. It means this, that, and the other. And so that's where you have to have the conversation beyond slogans. That's why you have to have a conversation beyond the sound bites. And the same people who support those objectives have to be willing to engage in the people that don't support those objectives. They have to be willing to make the case for their objectives instead of always being on the side of knocking down what everybody else is talking about. Because I see that a lot. Shout out, Kimberly says, shout out to my candidate, Mocha Jasmine Johnson, advancing to the general election in November and working to flip Georgia's 117th house. Okay, shout out. All right. I haven't heard that name. I'm going to have to look Mocha. I don't know if you meant to put it twice, but Mocha Jasmine Johnson up. Okay, let's see. All right. Okay, so Raynard Jackson on Roland Martin. Okay, I'm going to have to look into that. Sherry says, my thoughts on DT's upcoming racial equality speech. Racial equality from a white supremacist? How is that supposed to work? It's not. Stephen Miller is a whole ass white supremacist. He's been so since his days in the Duke. And I know my husband went to Duke with him as well. Not with him, but at the same time. He's a white fucking nationalist. A white supremacist. So I don't want to hear it. Let's see. Hey, Dolls. Uh, wasn't McCain right about explaining his losing though? To a certain extent, yeah. But I think it's losing in that moment. But see, the thing about it is you don't get a quick win when you're looking for a long-term solution. And that's the problem. People want this immediate win. They want this like, okay, you know what? We changed minds right away. Snap your fingers, we won. That's not how this is going to work. Even with the Justice and Policing Act, okay, they have the press conference. Today they have hearings. Then you have to have more hearings. Then you have to have votes. Then you have to go to the House floor. The same thing in the Senate. You have to have hearings. And then you're going to have the votes. And if it even gets brought to a vote. So there is no quick cure. And so are you losing right this moment? Maybe you don't win that news cycle. Maybe you don't win that day on Twitter. But if you keep making the argument a substantive case and keep working at it, in the long run, maybe you win that argument. But in the meantime, I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket in terms of what I'm supporting. Let's see. Okay, I don't know. Looks like I'm 10 minutes behind on my questions, so let me see. Kamala can take the heavy burden of leading a high emotional generation off of Joe Biden. I agree. And Joe Biden, it seems like he don't even really care to indulge these motherfuckers. He's just like, okay, well, whatever. Kamala is a little bit more empathetic. Did you see that Sephora was the first company to sign on to Aurora James' 15% pledge? I don't know anything about that pledge, and I don't know anything about that, but I'd imagine that's a good thing. Any news on Twitter harassment? No, I have not heard anything about the accounts that I reported. It seems like it's completely okay to target and harass me and share really disturbing images. My account, and I'm not saying this to brag, but I have 49,500 followers on Twitter. I use the word Karen, and I don't even remember how I used it. In one tweet, and my account was immediately restricted because I said Karen. That's why I've only ever used the word probably twice on my account, because I already know if you say anything white in the right realm, then they're gonna snatch your account. So I'm usually very careful about that, but I did use it one time in April, and somebody must have found it, reported it, and guess what? My account was restricted immediately. Meanwhile, this motherfucker who's targeting and harassing me has gotten probably 1,000 of his tweets reported, and he's still out there kicking. But you know what? If you are watching this, you piece of shit incel, Bernie supporting stalker, fuck you. You're not going to stop anything that I have to say, so you can just kiss my black ass. How about that? Anyways, I'm not giving them incels any more goddamn airtime. Fuck them. Don't suspend them for all I care. They're going to keep creating new accounts, but they're not going to stop what I'm doing. They can stay mad. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. I've been saying that for 10 minutes now. Let's see. Okay. Sorry if I'm not reading out your comments. I'm reading them. I'm just not necessarily reading out every comment. I'm loving all the people who trash Kamala hopping on the bandwagon now. I think a lot of people are seeing, hey, Season, my sister is here. Y'all check her out on my Insecure recaps. And we're going to start recapping Greenleaf. When Greenleaf comes out, we're going to do recaps on Greenleaf. So check out Season. She's not on Twitter or on YouTube or anything like that yet. So just check her out on my page. I did not see Congressman Jeffries' question to Don Bongio. Yeah. All right. Why do they call us Kamala and Joe Kemp neoliberals? They say we mean well but move too slow. Okay, well, what do they accomplish? I'm trying to figure that out. Because they all get wiped out in the primaries. They lose in the general election and they don't pass shit. So maybe neoliberal ain't such a bad thing. Okay, let's see. All right, I'm wrapping this up. Anybody else y'all want to shout out? Any Congress people, any candidates that are making it to the general election? Y'all leave a comment. Before I go, I'll shout them out as well. Let's see. New York State legislator. So Shantae says New York State legislator just flipped blue as of 2018. That's something a lot of people don't understand. They look at red state versus blue state, and they don't understand that you have, even in blue states, Republicans that have a considerable amount of power. And now it seems like the power is consolidating more, where you have a more blue up and down, meaning blue governor, blue House, and blue Senate chambers, or however some places call it assembly, some people call it the House, however they call it in their state. We have to pay attention to that. So a lot of times I would say to people who say, oh, the Democrats haven't changed it in the past 20 years. I'm like, okay, well, do the Democrats control all three chambers of government in your particular state? What about at your local level? Because you're probably blaming them for something that has, at a minimum, shared blame because there's another party that's in power. All right, let's see. We should advocate to end police union contracts. They have a lot of say in these cases and support bad officers. I think it's interesting because the Minneapolis police chief has quit negotiations with the police union. So I don't know exactly what that means, but it sounds to me like, like a start. Let's see. Politics today is about sound bites. It's really a problem. It sure is. Unfortunately, that's what we live in. Okay. So is it that defund Planned Parenthood and defund Obamacare meant what Republicans said it? I don't know. They may get rid of all the shit. Let's see. All right. Oh, okay. So Raynard trashed Roland at the White House. I'm sure Roland will get in his ass today on his show if he's heard about it. Donald Trump is airing attack ads on Hillary Clinton. That makes no sense. I haven't seen that. Yes, DJ Artistic, I got flagged for saying Karen. And I won't even be saying it like how other people. Some people say Karen 50 times a day. I said Karen once in 2 months, and my account was restricted. I just so happened I was online at the time, and so I got, your account has been restricted, blah, blah, blah. So I did what they asked me to do, which was delete the tweet, and I went on about my business. I was like, man, fuck y'all. Racist ass. Twitter is racist as shit. Anyways, yeah. Somebody said, I should call my local PD or FBI related to that stalker. Maybe I should, but I'm strapped over here. So come on over here if you want to, Chad. I got something for your ass. All right. Wrapping this up. What do you think of the chances of the Policing Act getting passed in this congressional session? I think the chances are as good as we advocate for. But I do see that Republicans are starting to understand the optics of needing to appear to make some sort of policing reform concessions. So I think that we have to keep pressing on them. We can't continue to take it as inevitable that the Republicans are just going to do what they're going to do, which is nothing. We have to push them on these things. Bernie Sanders is still missing. He sure is. I can't believe Sean King is trying to speak nice about Kamala after all that BS last year. You know what? I think that those people got the memo, probably from Bernie, to his credit, if he deserves any credit, that they need to back the fuck up. Anyways, let's see. Aaron Youngblood, School Board County, Shelby County, Tennessee. Jamie Harrison, yes, in South Carolina. Definitely support him. Lucy McBath is running a very competitive election down in Georgia 6. Corinne Fiajon, School Board, Mansfield ISD. Amy McGrath has busted her ass in Kentucky for 6 years, and Bernie Ho's planned a black savior. I can't. So I'm not overly impressed with Amy McGrath. I actually like Charles Booker. He's, unlike Amy, Charles Booker actually is an elected official in Kentucky. Amy is not an elected official. She hasn't won an election yet. So I do, I don't normally really look past the Bernie affiliation. But at the end of the day, I looked at what he has to say. I like what he has to say. So Amy McGrath, she probably will win her race. But I don't believe in black people bowing down to a white candidate just because that white candidate may or may not have a better chance against the Republican. You gotta have to win. Period. That's how I say. If you better, then you'll win, right? Not necessarily, but if you can't win against this black person, then maybe your ass was gonna win against Mitch McConnell. So I don't have any problems whatsoever with Charles Booker. Shout out to him down in Kentucky. He's a long shot to beat Amy McGrath because she has way more money, but shout out to him. Nashira Amina Williams, State House District 109 in Florida. Let's see. I know. Hillary lives rent free in Trump's head. Show does. Roland invited Raynard to his show so he can trash him. I'd like to see it. Phyllis Hardwick, State House District, Missouri. Leaving for Black Planet. Nah, Black Planet days is over. I'm not going to repeat this, Kimberly. I'm going to need to see a source on that claim. I'm not going to repeat it. Because I don't sit up here and traffic in rumors. Let's see. B says, I think Tim Scott, the only black Republican, will be on the right side of policing reform. That remains to be seen. I think to be on the right side of policing reform would be to co-sponsor the Justice and Policing Act, which he hasn't done. But I will see what he comes to the table with. For people who automatically do discount, I will say though that the First Step Act did pass under Donald Trump. Now, it was something that started under the Obama administration, but the Republicans did see the need, at least for PR purposes, to pass the First Step Act. So it's not completely out of the realm possibility that they will pass the Justice and Policing Act if we press hard on them. Joe Biden is literally the nominee. GOP, let's tag Hillary. I know, right? What do you think about people who keep bringing up President Obama saying he never did anything? I think people they just always gonna talk shit about Obama. It doesn't matter. So I don't pay him any mind. I've made a bet on Harris Joe Kennedy the third run. Please tell me I didn't waste my money. I don't know. Maybe, I guess it's possible. Joe Kennedy is giving Ed Markey, is that how you say his last name, a run for his money down there in Massachusetts. So I don't know. Maybe he's a one-term senator. Maybe. We'll see. He need to get his chapstick together, child. I know that's very, very petty. Nah, I'm not gonna do that, Kimberly. Sorry. Listen. Despite what that psycho has to say, I do not sit up here and just say stuff without vetting information. So no, I'm definitely not doing that. Okay, the last comment that I'm gonna hop off. Do you know any of the black fundraising organizations we can contribute to? I give money to Act Blue and try to donate to individual black candidates. Jazzer Paul, very good question. I like to support Higher Heights. That's one. You can, depends on what kind of organization you want to support. I support the national, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. I've donated before to Collective PAC. I don't know how active they are anymore, but I would say Higher Heights, it's a black women's political organization. I definitely think it's a good idea to support individual candidates. Yeah, those are my main recommendations. If you want to do support for voting rights, vote.org is good. Because they put out so much information when it comes to that. Again, I would still say the NAACP, the reason why I say NAACP Legal Defense Fund is because when you look at these lawsuits, you almost always find the NAACP Legal Defense Fund there. Sherilyn Ifill, who is the daughter of the legendary Gwen Ifill, she runs that up, and they just do absolutely spectacular work, and they have more wins. I know, and I'm not shading Fair Fight at all. I'm not shading them, but I can say that when you look at the track record of who actually has the wins in terms of voting rights, you have to side with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. They have way more wins, and they do things on a wide variety of topics, not just voting rights, up to the Supreme Court and things like that. So they really, 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 really have been doing this for a very cousin. I'm sorry, Sherilyn is the cousin to Gwen Ifill. Rochelle, thank you for correcting me on that one. So NAACP Legal Defense Fund, that's my recommendation. Vote.org, Higher Heights. Those are my top recommendations. Donate to individual candidates as you see them. Kamala Harris is raising funds herself for like the Senate and things like that. So I think it's up to you. Somebody said Lawyers Committee. I'm not familiar with that, Rochelle, but thanks for the recommendation. You guys can look that up yourself. So yeah, all right, y'all. I got through all of the comments and the questions. I didn't expect to be on here for 55 minutes, but I guess y'all want to talk today, so that's cool. I will be back tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm gonna do 5. I probably will cut it off at 5:30 though, because I go on Roland Martin Unfiltered tomorrow at 6 p.m. So check me out tomorrow, 5 p.m. to 5:30. Then on Roland, if you still want to talk to me or see me, I'm on there with the absolute great Erica Savage and Dr. Carr and Roland, of course. It's his show. So yeah, check that out. Black Pack, a couple more organizations coming through. Ivy Pack, Run Sister Run from Patrice. Look all those up. Let's see. All right. My org is supporting 9 Black candidates for office. Check that out. If you're on YouTube, then go check out Anthony Dell's comment. And all right, that's it for me, y'all. I will holler at y'all. Have a good night. And if you have some time, try to go back and watch some of the Justice and Policing hearing today. At least, at a minimum, go to my page or Google Philonise Floyd's opening statement at the Justice and Policing hearing. It was absolutely both courageous and heartbreaking, and I think it will really make you understand what's at stake here and why we need to start getting behind tangible solutions. Even if you don't like a specific tangible solution, get behind something and try to honor these people that we've been out on the streets for, marching for, with something tangible and specific. So that's my charge to you, is to watch Mr. Philonise Floyd's speech today, or opening remarks on the Justice and Police hearing, the House Judiciary Committee. Shout out to Chairwoman Karen Bass. Shout out to the CBC. Shout out to Senator Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, who sponsored that on the Senate side. Let's get this done, y'all, because we cannot let these deaths continue to pile up. We cannot continue to shout at each other on Twitter and hashtag when we can make some tangible changes. So that's what we have to do in so many ways. So again, y'all have a good night, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.